Podcast. This is a podcast about mostly knitting, some crochet, and sometimes a bit of sewing. It's episode number 8. I'm Madeline and I'll be your host for today. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back to watch another installment. And if you're a new viewer, welcome to the podcast. I have been pretty busy the last couple of weeks since I last recorded, which has been good. There's not been a whole lot of knitting time, but I have made some progress on a few things, so I'm really excited to show you about that. And I had a few little yarny things, or not yarny things, but yarn related, that have turned up in my mailbox, so that's been awesome, and I'll show you with those. So I don't have any finished objects for you. Nothing finished. However, I think this can sort of go in this segment, and that is my 3 Mums Yarn fluoro socks, and these are an afterthought heel pair that I've made. So first time ever making this, and I've made one and shown one before, but now I have 2, and they pretty well match, which is exciting. And as you can see, if I bring that closer, the different coloured yarn in this section here is the waste yarn. So not yet finished, but I'm hoping to get those done in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I'm pretty excited actually, and I think I've got some sock mojo back, which is good because it had all but disappeared earlier this year, or after I started the first one of these socks. And when I made them, I thought, oh, they're so bright, I'm never going to wear them. But now that they're finished, I'm really actually pretty keen. So what I haven't decided is what colour I'm going to make the heel. So I split the heel, or I left that waste yarn in at the same point in the pink, thinking that I would do the pink next out of the leftovers. So I actually haven't weighed it. That probably would have been a good idea to do that before I started. Sorry. So 32.5 grams left here, which is probably enough to make a small pair. So that's 70 grams, or just under 70 grams for socks that'll fit me. So like I said, I was going to do the heel in this fluoro colour, but then I was looking through other 3 Mums yarns that I have, and I've got these minis here. So I put a poll on my Instagram a little while ago asking, should I use one of these minis or should I use the rest of this? And 4 people voted for this one, and the rest, maybe 20 people, which is pretty good turnout for an Instagram vote. Never done one of those before. I just dropped the dark colour. Voted for one of these. So none of these colours really naturally go, but I want to use the 3 Mums yarn. I was actually thinking I might use this black colour. Is that working? Yeah. Which might go well. So not sure, but that's my closest to being finished object that I have for this episode. And I probably knit maybe 6, 2 for Lockie, 2 for me, 1 for Mum, 1 for Grandma, this pair, 1 other sock. 7 pairs of socks now. So I'm not an expert sock knitter by any stretch of the imagination, but I've knit a few pairs at this point. And I really liked the 9-inch circular. So I think I cast on and did the cuff ribbing in Magic Loop on my Chalgu sock needles. However, I switched to 9-inch circular and they just were so speedy. Like last weekend, to be honest, I did a lot of knitting. I put this sock. I put the waste yarn in on the Saturday morning, and then I knit to the toe on Saturday afternoon. We went to a friend's house and were just having a few drinks and some nibblies, and I pretty much just knit while talking all afternoon, and yeah, it was good. So anyway, I've talked enough about those now. Pretty excited. Don't quite know when I'm going to finish them, but hopefully sometime soon. I'll just put my little scale away, or maybe I'll leave it out. I might need it again. So to works in progress, I've got a few new whips that I have talked about before that I was going to make, and I have cast on. So the first one I'll show you is the Kobu Cat by Caitlin Hunter. which is this one here. And I spoke about the yarn last time, or I spoke about the yarn as I got it. So it's a mohair and DK weight held together, and I did the ribbing, which is a 1x1 rib, and then I've got into I've done the first round, which actually has a cable, a cable needle, and I've never done any cabling before, and I did it at work with no internet, and some of my stitch repeats don't match up, but I actually don't know how to undo my work with the cable, so it's in timeout. I didn't really like the 1x1 rib, but that's just because I don't really like 1x1 ribbing in general. But I'm really happy with the colour, which is not really, it's not coming up true, I don't think, but it's really nice with the mohair. It's really soft, and I think it will make a really lovely hat. I originally cast on the 120 stitches, and then I looked at it and it was just going to be, I thought, way too big, so I pulled it out and cast on 100 stitches and started with that. But now I'm a little bit concerned it might be a bit too small. So I'll have to just keep going on that one, but I need to figure out the stitch count and the cable, so I'm probably going to have to do some YouTubing tonight, or maybe not tonight, sometime tomorrow, and figure out exactly how to make a cable, because I've never done any cables before, and I just thought, oh yeah, I'll just read the instructions, it should work. Maybe not so much. My next work in progress is also another new cast on, and this one is a knit in hedgehog fibres merino DK, which is 115 gram DK weight, 8 ply in Australia, and the colour was Beach Bunny. What I like to do with my yarn is actually, if it comes in a skein, once the bits that hold the skein together, when I cut them off, I like to stick them on the ball band, and then I keep the ball bands. And I think it's probably just because I'm a bit of a hoarder, not because it's necessary. But yeah, so I caked it up, and I've got it in this little yarn carrier that I bought off eBay a while ago, and I haven't really had a use for it. And then this time I thought, oh, I found something. So, maybe that was a bad idea. That's the skein here. So it's like a base is like a aqua. I'd say aqua. And just lots of different speckles. And it's actually a gift knit for my cousin who's moved to the UK. I don't think she watches this. I hope not. If you do, Grace, turn around, close your eyes, and fast forward. So I'm knitting another Violet Waffles hat. And I've only really done the cast on and 4 rounds, so not a lot. But I'll take this with me tonight probably I'll talk about that later. So yeah, it's just a really simple free pattern of Ravelry, 2x2 rib, and then a waffle pattern. So just in the rib at the moment, and it's knitting out quite good. 3.5mm needles, and they are my Knitter's Pride Nova Platina 16-inch circular set that I bought off Amazon last year before they changed the regulations in Australia and what you can and can't buy. And I should probably talk about this in acquisitions, but I bought a 16-inch Licker needle in the size required, because I really enjoyed that calf of that sock that I had cast on, but I thought I'll try a proper size, a non-sock size. So I went to another shop in Sydney with my husband last weekend. We went for a little visit. It was really nice. Not as I wasn't as impressed with it as I thought I was going to be, but I just think I had different expectations, or expected too much of the store, but it was really nice. Some really expensive things, some pretty nice on point, like reasonably priced things, the Licker needles, which is kind of the main reason I went, hoping they would have an interchangeable set, which they didn't, which is probably good, because I would have walked out probably with the set and been much poorer. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes, and hopefully next time I'll have finished the ribbing and be able to actually talk to you about how the needle is gone and give you a bit of a review maybe. So usually I would use those Knitter's Pride Platinas for 16-inch for hat, or my Chalgu. I've got a few Chalgu fixed needles in the right sizes for that. So That's what I would usually use, but I thought, yeah, I'd give the liquor a go. And my final work in progress, which is actually, yeah, everything I've got cast on, I'm showing, which is awesome, is my Radiate Pullover by Joji Locatelli. And I've shown that pattern a few times, and I've talked about this a few times. And to be honest, it was kind of also in timeout because I it's a lot of work. And I knew that knitting a jumper, like, that's quite big. It's the extra large size. So it's for a 46 inches across with 2 centimeters of positive E. So I went up a needle size. So in hindsight, I probably should have kept the needle size and knit the bigger size with the smaller gauge, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So we'll see how it goes. But I've shown you the yoke before, but I've only got maybe another inch or so on the body. So I'm getting ready to start the short, there's a decrease round. That's the front. And the back is there. So there's a decrease round in about another 1/2 inch or another 1.5 centimeters. So there's 2 decrease rounds and then back increasing, and so look, it's not a difficult knit at all. It's quite relaxing at this point, and I probably have enough now to recheck my gauge, which I definitely do almost have 4 inches, so I could recheck my gauge and see if it was worth going up a needle size, which, to be honest, I'm probably going to find it wasn't, which is kind of annoying, but it'll fit. It'll be a big pullover. There's a lot of yarn in the yoke, but I think we all have to learn somewhere. So if this is my learning project, it's my learning project, and it's nothing about the pattern at all. I just think I was really eager to cast it on, and I probably didn't do it. My second swatch wasn't big enough. I have tried it on, but it was probably when I'd only done maybe like 1.5 inches of the body, and now I've done nearly 4.5. So I'll probably maybe get it to like 10 inches, and then try it on again and see how I'm going. But I was proactive, and I've I've wound up the next few sets. So I know I've talked before about alternating skeins or like buying in a different batch lot. Now that I've wound it, you can really see, sorry, it's in a bag, but you can really see the colour difference between, say, these 2 at the bottom, which are one skein, and these 2 at the top, which are another. And there's another 2 in there. So I had wound another skein, another one, and split that in half. And then I thought about it, and I was like, nah, I best wind them all. And that way I've got 6 smaller 50-gram balls to choose from about that colour blending and colour placement, as opposed to alternating 2 100-gram skeins. It'll be easier to manage because the balls are smaller. So that was good. I'm happy to have got that sorted. I did that a few weeks ago, and then, like I said, it's kind of been in timeout, but I knit a few rows on it this morning because I left my knitting at work. So the 2 hats, I went into work this morning, picked those up so I could talk about them on the podcast. So dedication. Anyway, like, it's not even, I could take it with me tonight, but it's not super transportable because it's in such a big bag now. And this is a little project bag that I made. Well, it's a big project bag, actually. Sometime last year, not long after I bought my sewing machine. And I bought it to put a jumper in, and finally I made a jumper. So a little cat zipper bag. So that's a lot of talking for my works in progress. I think next is usually acquisitions, and I have got a couple, 2 knitting related but not really. So I bought, is this the one I used? I think so. I was on the KnitPicks website a while ago. When I made that beanie for my dad. And I've always been interested in these lotion bars, so I bought a tin of this I think it's Love and Leish. Anyway, I'll put the website below. And essentially it's a lotion bar, so it's an all natural body bar, and it's like a cake of soap, and then you just like rub it on your hands, and it's like a waxy melt, and it starts to melt off, I guess, and then your hand, it's like a hand cream, but this one is mint and lavender flavour or scent. So it's got a little bit oily, but I don't use it, every day. It's in my knitting bag, so if I've done a lot of knitting and my hands are a bit sore, or I just need some extra care, I've been putting that on. I've had their smaller like hand and nail cream cuticle ones, and they've been great. So then when I saw this, I was buying, and I wanted to up my amounts to hopefully get closer to free postage, which I don't think I ended up doing anyway. I bought one, and I also bought one as a gift for a present I'm gifting at the end of the year. So yeah, I bought that. And then the other thing I got recently, which is really cool, is a new phone case. And essentially it's just knit stitches. So I have an iPhone SE, so it's a small one, and it's from a website called Red Balloon. I don't know if they're Australian or not, but it didn't take very long, and I got some other things at the same time, but I'm not super happy with those because I didn't read the instructions of what I'd get. So it's a rubber phone case, and then this just clips on the back, and it's just knit. So there was a few different patterns you could choose from, and there was heaps about knitting and crochet and whatnot, but I chose this one. And there was another colour which was like greens and purples, which isn't usually, well, it would typically have been my kind of colour palette. But I've been going towards pink lately, and so I've got the pink. And then I'm having regrets that I should have bought the other one, but it's okay. It's just a phone case. Totally probably not worth the money that it was, but I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, it's good. So yeah, I kind of sometimes talk about some favourite things, and I thought since I've talked about socks a bit this morning, I would show you my very first sock pattern book, and how I learnt to knit socks. So I've said I taught myself to knit off YouTube, and I guess it was Instagram that made me think about knitting socks. And a crochet blog that I followed for a very long time is Addict24, and so Lucy on there had made friends with Christine of Winnick Mum and was knitting socks, and I was like, well, if Lucy a crochet can knit socks, I can knit socks. So that was kind of where my want to knit started. So the first thing I did actually when I decided to do that was order a pair of Addy 12-inch circular needles. I bought two because I thought I might want to do concurrent socks, and I bought this book called Super Socks. So it's Knit a Pair of Socks with Winnick Mum by Christine Perry. So Christine Perry has a blog, and she has this book. The patterns are on her blog, I'm pretty sure, but then there's the book as well, and it shows you how to do it. It tells you about choosing yarn, needles, turning heels, making seam-free toes, and an illustrated step-by-step instruction. So it's a sock, she's like, join the sock along. So there's a Facebook group for the sock along, which I'm a part of, and yeah, it's really good. She like steps you through the whole process of making a sock. She has tutorials like colour pictures on double pointed needles, 9-inch circulars, how to do a heel flap and gusset, what exactly that you're looking for, how to do toes and graft and whatnot. So I'm pretty sure it was on Amazon that I bought this, and it was in 2016, so a couple of years ago, and it was when I learnt to knit essentially. So yeah, Christine's actually got another book coming out called I actually have no idea what it's called, I can't remember. I will find out and I'll put a link below in the down box. So underneath where this is and the title, there'll be all the show notes that I'll write up about things I've mentioned. So I don't know if I'll buy that book because I've really decided I'm not into pattern socks after joining the New York sock collection. No, that's not what I joined. I joined the Wanderlust sock collection from the Knitting Expat Designs. I like self-strapping yarn, and I like, I'm into vanilla socks at the moment, and I'm hoping that will change. So also, while we're on the topic of socks, I sent some yarn, so 4 skeins of my sock yarn, to a lady in the States and her name is Carrie, and she's of the company called Freckled Whimsy. So I've spoken a bit at Knit Night, and I don't know if I've mentioned on the podcast, but I'm really keen, well, I think I'm really keen about buying a circular sock machine. And any of you who follow a few other people will know that that's not really a small investment, that's quite a large investment. So there's a company in New Zealand who I think make or refurbish them, but they haven't had any in stock for a long while. And there's another company in America called, they make an Erlbacher Gearhart circular sock machine. And so Amy of the Stranded podcast has one, the Grocery Girls just got one, a few people do. And so the reason you would buy one of those is to crank sock tubes or sock snakes. Oh, Amber of Yarn Hoarder also. So those three people that I mentioned have podcasts, and that's how I pretty much got into watching podcasts and making me decide that I wanted to start one for myself. So those ladies all have a sock machine now. And anyway, I thought, well, first I reached out on Ravelry and tried to find anyone in Australia who would make the sock tubes that I could pay. Send them my yarn and they would do it for me. And I joined a few Ravelry groups and no one offered that sort of a service and said, oh, these are some places you might be able to buy a machine from. And buying a machine is quite a big investment, like I said, quite a few $1,000s, especially if you buy it from America and you live in Australia and you have to pay customs and import tax and shipping for a 10 kilo-ish item. Not so big, like I've seen the boxes are kind of like packed down well, but heavy, so big in shipping. So I was on Instagram following the CSM hashtag, I think, and this lady came up saying, oh, send me yarn or buy yarn from my store, and I'll crank sock tubes for you. So I went, okay, bingo, I'll do that. So I looked into it and I was like, no, I thought about it, too expensive. And then I thought, well, I can make like an almost $3,000 investment in it. Well, so if I bought the top of the line deluxe version, which I probably would want to do, but really wouldn't need, so yeah, when I say big investment. So I priced up sending some yarn to this lady, and I could do, it was expensive, let's put it out there. And then I paid her on Etsy, and I'll link her Etsy shop below as well if you're in the States and you're interested, or in Australia and possibly interested. So my yarn arrived this morning in America, which is really exciting. So hopefully I'll have an email from Carrie shortly that says, got your stuff, and then she'll crank these yarns into sock tubes for me within 7 to 10 business days, and then she'll pop it back in the post. So hopefully by the time I get back from my next stint away for work, it will be back home and I will be able to show you some sock tubes. So whilst it was an expensive venture, I figured it's probably worth doing that and figuring out whether I actually want to knit heels, toes and calves afterthought from sock tubes, or if I just knit only a few pairs a year and I knit them all by hand. So yeah, they're going to be really expensive socks, but 2 pairs for my husband, 1 for me, and then 1 for my dad is what I sent away, or the wool I sent away for. So that's good. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. So you'll definitely be probably the first to know, all my work colleagues who've listened to me talk about the circular sock machine. We had a raffle at work a few weeks ago, or we've been selling tickets for a long time, fundraising, and just for a function that we want to hold. And I won one of the prizes, so it was good. I think I probably bought $20 worth of tickets and I won $250, and everyone's like, oh, drinks on Madeline, and I said, oh no, that's for my circular sock machine savings. So I'm started saving. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but if I don't do it, it's more money for yarn. So yeah, kind of excited to see how that goes, and maybe get a circular sock machine. And then if I, this is like super going far into the future, if I did get one and I did like it, then maybe I could kind of start up a small on the side business similar to this lady and crank tubes if people in Australia like me wanted to have their tubes cranked. That sounded really bad. Yeah, good. So finally, I sort of talked about something on my last episode that I recorded in my other house, about a road trip that I was doing over the Christmas break with my husband. So we've planned a road trip, like I said, visiting our parents. we're going to do a lot of driving in the 4 weeks holiday that we get off over Christmas. So some of that is down to Victoria, and there's the Great Ocean Road, which we sort of said, oh yeah, we'll do that, but when I looked at where we have to go, not the same. Oh my gosh, picture of Australia. Okay, my family and Lockie, my husband's family, live here, and we're going to drive all the way down the east coast of Australia, stay around here, and then drive kind of back up halfway to where we live. So it's like almost 4,000 kilometres of driving, but over about 25 days, so not so bad. And we're going to visit these places. So, Tarndie Heritage Sheep Farm in Warnacourt, which if I put that closer, I might be able to read it to you. And then we're going to visit the Great Ocean Road Woolen Mill. And that store I was talking about in Sydney had some of their yarn the other day, which was really nice to see, but I think I'm going to wait and buy it at the mill. And there's also a National Wool Museum, which I don't exactly know if we'll get to, because I don't know if Geelong was on the list we planned out. But anyway, that's pretty exciting. And so this is the Tarndie brochure, which I think I might have showed after the Celebration of Wool when I went there for the first time. I found out about Tarndie for the first time. So yeah, really excited. We were going to go to Tasmania, I think I might have mentioned, which is this little island right down the bottom. But we have, I'm just trying to get closer to the camera. We've been to Tassie once before together, and we wanted to road trip, so we couldn't really find there was no reason for us to definitely go to Tassie, whereas if we wanted to meet up with a few friends that we haven't seen and do a few things, so it just made more sense to road trip the east coast of Australia, so we're really excited about that. But that's about as far as the planning's got. No accommodation booked. We'll camp a few nights, stay with some friends a few nights. We're going to spend New Year's with a different group of friends, which is my husband's friends and their partners, which is really nice. So yeah, it should be good. I think I've talked far too long at this point. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you found something interesting today. Oh no, I have something more. Tonight, at Skein Sisters, not at Skein Sisters, organised by Skein Sisters, Nathan Taylor, the sock magician, is in Australia. So for the last few weeks he's been in New Zealand and was in Melbourne last weekend, and this weekend he's in Sydney. So he had an all-male knit night at Skein Sisters last night, and then tonight we're going out for dinner. It's an evening with Nathan Taylor. And so that'll be really exciting. And someone I've met recently through the podcast is Laura from the Lola Star Creates podcast. So hi Laura, if you're watching, I'm really keen to meet you tonight, which is really lovely. So that's kind of why I started the podcast, was I wanted to meet crafty people like me, kind of in my area, and I move around a lot, so it would be a way to kind of find people who are close to where I am. So earlier this week, Laura put something out on Instagram saying, I'm going to an evening with Nathan Taylor, who's going? And I replied and said, I am, and she's like keen to meet up. So yeah, I'm really excited. And if you haven't seen her podcast before, you should totally check it out. I will also link to her YouTube channel. She has just finished a Zweig sweater, which is really lovely. She's super into spinning, which is not something that I have a mild interest in it, but I really don't think I need another fibre hobby. So I really enjoy watching her from afar. She's not that far from me actually, but watching that journey for her, which has been really cool. And then I get to meet her in person, which is awesome. So yeah, I'm so glad I remembered that. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Have a lovely few weeks. I probably will be at least 2 weeks before I get to record again, so hopefully those hats will get some progress, maybe my jumper. I'm hoping to finish the Violet Waffle, but I feel like that's really optimistic because I'm also studying for some exams, which I finally started studying for, so that's awesome. I finally got my butt into gear, and I've got a few more months before I have to sit those, so yeah, wicked. Have a lovely few weeks. I will talk to you soon. I'm really excited about tonight. If you can't tell, I'm super excitable. But yeah, hopefully this will be up in a few days, and yeah, bye. Thanks for tuning in.